Okay, good evening, everybody. Hope everyone's well. Hope everyone's good. And as always, hope everyone can hear me. I'll move the mic a bit closer just to make sure. So I've not been on for 2 weeks. I was away last week, so missed a call there. But it's fair to say that the market sentiment has massively changed over the last 2 weeks or so, especially the last couple of days. It does feel like I'm not going to say the end is nigh because that's not fair, but it does feel like sort of that greed has totally been taken out of the market at the moment. We're now getting back to a bit more of a pessimistic market, and people, talking about how much their portfolios are bleeding. And, that's at least no one said they can't hear me, so that's perfect. It is something that we're going to talk about today. We're going to have a look at whether or not it is truly game over for crypto, whether we have experienced our bull run, whether this is just a temporary pullback, or whether we need to actually think about starting all over again. There's not too much news to cover tonight, to be honest with you. So I'm going to mix things up a little bit. I'm going to tackle the Avenger questions as quickly as I can, get through those, and then we'll focus more on Bitcoin. We'll have a look at Bitcoin, but I think it's fair to say that Bitcoin is held up better than the alt market. So I really want to try and spend a bit more time on the alt market because the vast majority of us either hold no Bitcoin in our portfolio or very little. And I think that's probably what's hurting the most is we are in altcoins. Altcoins have bled bad, and it's a case of it's starting to feel pretty bad. But, maybe there's method to the madness. So we'll have a look through those. As always, any questions you've got, feel free to drop them in the chat. I can see everyone in there already. Someone's asked, is it a new office? It's not a new office. I used to just sit there, but now I've got a standing desk. I moved it this way, and I've started to actually finally hang some stuff up on the wall. That's all that is. But thanks for noticing. Right, let's just dive straight in, shall we? Sorry, that was still open there. I think we're all good. So, as always, let's have a look at the bigger picture with the charts. We can kind of see, since I last spoke to you, we're on the dailies here. When did I last speak? End of May it was. 28th of May. So we had that nice little rally up, but unfortunately rejection in and around that 71,000. We have seen that pull back. I'm going to draw the trend line on now, but we will talk about this a little bit later on. But it does seem to be sort of a clear rejection at the top of that range, and we are now falling back through. There's a potential couple of features that are forming both locally on the daily, a bigger one on the weekly, and the only other thing to really note from drawing this, and I think, we can probably get away with it drawing all the way back to February. You draw a line here, kind of got this line, so maybe we're running into an area in which we'll bounce from, or we can be a bit more pessimistic. Let me just blow this one up so we can see a bit better. We can kind of say that actually maybe that was a foregone conclusion, that we were going to see a drop today as we were compressing, we fall through. We will cover those a little bit later on, but I think the key message at the moment is we've just hit the top of the range. We're falling back down. And I posted something in Discord only a few days ago. And if we throw it on the weekly, I think it was yesterday I posted it, 'cause I saw it on Twitter. Just take a look at this. I know we're going to dive into things a little bit later, but this here is the highest ever weekly close at 71,000. Last week on Sunday was the second ever highest close at 69,561. And so, yes, whilst this drop may have been quite sudden and it has affected altcoins more than anything else, just to put it into context, Sunday, 2 days ago, we had our second ever highest weekly close. So things aren't looking necessarily too bad. And I think what we've got used to is this hell of a run up here. Sorry, I should have drawn it a bit better up here, which has just sort of caught us off guard a bit. Naturally, we would expect some sort of full pullback, which, yes, we had the 50%, and now we're just battling with that range up there. We'll dig through those in more detail a little bit later on. And then we do have a look at some of the altcoin market. And what I would say, is, on the weekly, Casper's looking not too bad. Let's drop it back onto the daily, because that's what we have a look at. Oh, can't believe it. There we go. So Casper's, again, it's had some sort of reaction. It's not quite hit it yet. I thought it had when I looked at this earlier, but it's not quite. But it is looking like a fairly decent candle at the moment. The only problem for me with that halo or potential halo is we're in this bit of a downtrend. So whether or not that's just going to get null and void, plus we've got 5 hours till the close, we'll just have to wait and see. But as you can see on the right-hand side, of all the ones that I'm following, Casper's the only one that's currently green. So fair play to Casper there. Ethereum, yep, we've had a move down, fairly similar to what we've seen on Bitcoin, probably a little bit more drastic when we look through. But again, it's not Bitcoin, so that may be an obvious reason why. And then unfortunately, Tau. And Tau is an interesting one. We had that big move down on Friday, the pullback, and we've seen that continuing forward. We're going to talk about this in detail, but nothing unfortunately has changed in the last 2 months, more than that, 3 months for Tau. You know, except for the Binance and news announcement, listing announcement, it's just been a steady downtrend, and that has continued to happen. We'll look at it, as I say, later on and put some more things on. But unfortunately, it came straight back up to this, which was also the 50 EMA. Perfect rejection off it, and off it went. I will say I am 50% back out of Tau, so after having sold it on Saturday, and I'll go through a little bit later on. I did set a buy in at 333, which must have hit because we're lower than that. But other than that, I'm just waiting, and we'll explain the rationale behind that later. I wouldn't necessarily class this as news as such, but obviously just to make you aware, tomorrow, I was banging on about it's FOMC day tomorrow, you know, pretty big day. But wood through the trees and all that, it's not only FOMC day, it's actually CPI day as well. So both of those days when they are held individually in separate weeks, particularly volatile times within the market, we're having both on the same day. So we've got one happening at 1:30 UK time, then the second one happening at 7 p.m. UK time. And that 7 p.m. one's kind of multi-staged as well, but they're generally it. So what we actually may see tomorrow is, you know, increased volatility, but instead of just happening over one particular period, we may see it at lunchtime and then also into the evening, assuming you're based in the UK, that is. So I'll cover it at the end again, but if you are trading, if you've got some trades open and you are looking to do that, just bear in mind, the market can move quite suddenly and quite irrationally in and around those times. And so either protect yourself with the stop loss, make sure you've taken some profits if you are currently in profit, and just go from it from there. In terms of where we think we're going to be, I mean, everything's kind of saying that it's basically going to stay on par for the CPI data. So 0.3, 0.1, and 3.4, which is exactly what it was last time. And again, we don't anticipate there is going to be a rate cut. Now, why am I bringing this up at the beginning? Well, you know, maybe, and the cynic in me is suggesting we are seeing quite a sudden sell-off. And yes, there were BTC outflows with the ETF yesterday, but not huge amounts. So maybe we're just seeing a move ahead of this news announcement to try and trap traders into short positions before they're moving it back up. Or are we already starting to price in the news? We're not going to be happy. And people may think, oh, well, if everything stays the same, or CPI data comes in slightly higher, we may fall further. Or maybe we've already started to price that information in. That's why I just don't like to trade on CPI days or on FOMC days. The fact they've happened at the same time, unfortunately, could be a bit of a perfect storm. But yeah, we will have a look. Bijan, I'll get to your questions in a moment, if you don't mind. And what I'll do is I'll just jump straight into this. There's a load. You see, that's what happens when you're away for 2 weeks. So I'm going to try and run through these as quickly as I can. And yeah, hopefully we'll answer them as best as we can. So Chris has asked what runes protocols are and how we use them and how we trade on them. So runes are actually relatively new. So they actually came out the day of the Bitcoin halving. They were created, I don't know if that's the right term, inspired by a guy called Cassie. God, his name's like Rhoda Armour or something like that. And he also was the gentleman behind ordinals and inscriptions. So, you know, he has form within this. Now, in the simplest possible term, Chris, and for everyone else, runes protocol, runes token, even rune stones, there's 3 things, it's quite confusing. They're effectively providing an opportunity for meme coin trading on Bitcoin. I think that's the simplest way of putting it. Now, don't necessarily get it too confused, or because there's ordinals and there are inscriptions, there is some level of confusion. Now, I actually did a video last year on ordinals And ordinals, in the simplest possible term, is just offering the ability for NFTs, non-fungible tokens, on Bitcoin. That's it. Inscriptions, they're a little bit more complicated, and we haven't actually covered them in detail. But if I was to try and summarize it, they're just digital artifacts. They are, placing digital artifacts, placing information or inscribing information within the actual Satoshi of the blockchain, and then it remains in the blockchain forever. It can't be changed, and it goes back to the old adage of only the victors write the history of war. Well, this time you can't rewrite it. You can't rewrite the internet. It's inscribed when that was done, and so that's very broad brush what that one is covering. But with these inscriptions, it's the Satoshi itself that holds the value, and because people can time when these Satoshis were dropped, some of them are incredibly valued. So Satoshis that were contained within the block for the halvings, they are more expensive than others. The pizza, 10,000 pizza Satoshis also. Any associated with Silk Road, they have a value to them that degens buy them and effectively try to profit off them. Now, going back to runes, let's go back to runes. Why runes were created? Now, this Casey Ruderarm, I think his name is. You know what? I've actually got a page here on it. Casey Ruderarm. Okay. So with the creation of ordinals and BRC20 tokens, etc., there was a lot of additional transactions on the network, and fees for transactions were going up. Miners were asking for more, and you may have seen there was a time last year where Bitcoin transaction fees were more expensive than ETH transaction fees. And so this Casey guy was like, look, there's a lot of stuff now that's clogging up the Bitcoin network, and I want to create something completely different for the degens that are out there to do this. So he came up with runes. Now, runes is its own protocol. It's not taken up there, but he has openly come out and said, look, there is absolutely no value to these whatsoever. It is solely for meme coin. It's solely for degen plays that can be carried out. And that should hopefully free up some space and some transaction volume, reducing the transaction volume to reduce the fees, etc., within the actual Bitcoin network. So that's kind of why they were bought. Obviously, now this creates an opportunity for memes within the Bitcoin network, which, given that memes is a very strong narrative in this bull run currently at the moment, that is only a good thing. But it is a very, very degen play. If the creator of it is coming out and saying that, how degen memes are in general. Now, I think the other part of your question was, how do we go about using it and trading it? I've never really done it, but there is a site called Magic Eden, which looks a little bit like this when it loads. You can do collections or you can do runes. You just have to create a wallet as you would normally create any sort of wallet. Oh, sorry, I've actually gone into one by mistake there. And then you can see top 100 runes, and then you can just trade those as you see fit. And that's all you do. You'd have to connect your wallet, put it with the irrelevant Bitcoin, buy them, trade them, do as you will. So, Chris, you'll have to, if that's of interest to you, you have to check it out yourself, because I've not really looked into it in too much detail. Hopefully that helps. How much more of this side reaction things on the card, Chris? I'll cover that one later if you don't mind. Paul's gone on to ask a topic about stocks, but have you seen the GME and AMC stocks starting to act crazy again? Looks like they could be about to take off some well-known investors loading up on them both. So yes, over the last sort of 2.5, 3 weeks, GME has had a resurgence, and it all started with GME's favorite investor, Roaring Kitty, coming back onto Twitter, like putting a post on Twitter for the first time in like 3 years, showing his sort of open balance, if you will. And it kind of proved that this wasn't a one-time thing. For the last 3 years, he's been buying, and his position's gone from an initial 50K investment all the way up to, at the time that he posted it, I think it was about $160 million worth of shares. So everyone started to YOLO back in, etc., and the stock continued to climb and climb and climb and climb. Now, I don't know when Paul put this question on there, so I don't want to delve too much into it. I never got into GME or AMC during the Wall Street bet days, but there was plenty of people who did, and those people are still, very keen to either try and get some of that money back or continue to make money on it. Now, what's interesting is Rory and Kitty himself has been very open, very honest about how things have been going. And even on Friday, he did a live stream, first ever live stream in 3 years, which was a bit of an interesting one. But what was more amazing was 600,000 people tuned into his TikTok account. I think it was on TikTok to follow his live stream. Now, unfortunately for those 600,000 people, he didn't really spend too much time talking about about GME. He spent most of it drinking beer, talking about the NBA finals and a few other things. But in the end, he did finally get onto GME, but it was just rehashing a lot of information that he had already put out there. But what was interesting, and we'll have a look at the charts in a moment, is that when I mentioned 3 weeks ago, his net worth or a position within GameStop was around about 160 million, actually, on Thursday of last week, I think he crossed the $1 billion mark. That's how much it had moved up. Now, unfortunately for Rory and Kitty, or Keith Gill, as he is known, that was short-lived. Because actually, during his live stream, he just revealed very nonchalantly that his portfolio was down 235 million as the price had fallen from $46 to $26. Now, actually, yesterday, even worse, because it continued to fall, he's now down 350 million. Now, he's not minus 350 million. His just profit position has reduced by 350 million. Now, some of that is he had some options. I think they might have expired and didn't hit or whatever. But, he's proven time and time again that he's in this for certainly the long haul. And so I think he's just probably going to ride that and see what happens. But looking at GME itself, can you guess what day he came back to announce that he was starting back? Yeah, you guessed it. This big gap up here. Oops. And then obviously we had this move up here, which took it to, $64 before a mighty correction back to, somewhere you'd expect 18. But even from that 18, and this week we've had it go up to 48. And then this was the fall that had him have his position reduced, by 350 million. Now, AMC, not quite as enthusiastic, but it had a very large pump up just because Roy and Kitty was back just with GME, but a lot of the GME degens are also, that's apologies, some of you may be in it. A lot of the GME traders have also gone for AMC. So that one just had an impulsive move. That's pulled back, but it's kind of remained relatively stable and kind of in the price that it's been for this year. So nothing too shocking there. But certainly with GameStop, it has had that move. And I think this one, above all others, at least has the momentum, the legs, and the followers to potentially continue. I'd say I'm not necessarily in it too much. Okay. TARS protocol, I'll cover that one in a moment, Paul. John's asked, not sure when we'd see this, but he recently purchased a Tangem following the link with the discount code. The email says it's been shipped from Slovenia. Just wanted to check with you in the community to check if that was normal or genuine. I didn't think they would ship from Slovenia to UK customers. I'm not sure if I'm being overcautious here. You're not being overcautious. Always worth checking that kind of stuff. I've obviously got one. It did come from an Eastern Bloc country. I'm pretty sure it was Slovenia. I didn't actually bother to check. But yes, I think it is from there. So you may have even got it by now, but I do believe that is genuine. Crypto Guy and John want me to have a look at a few charts. So we'll do that in a moment. Chris has asked, could you cover Base? I assume you mean Base Protocol or Base Network and how to buy on it. Also, are the same coins on ETH network as on Ethereum? Ethereum network as on ETH. So you can buy either but better fees with Base. A breakdown would be greatly appreciated. Okay, someone else has asked about Base a little bit later on, but I'll try and cover it. Again, it's actually not something that I have used too much. Where is it? Come on. Here we go. Base. Where are you? I can't find it. I thought I had the chart, the thing open for it, but I don't. So we'll just talk about it roughly there. So, yeah, Base is a network, so sort of Coinbase's version of it. It is its own network. However, the native token that they use is Ethereum, and that's where it can lead to some confusion. because a lot of people just think, oh, well, it's going to be associated with the Ethereum network, but it is its own separate network. A lot of meme coin planes are sort of coming in and around off base, and it definitely had a resurgence back in March when meme coins really started to kick off there. Now, what can I say about it? How do you buy on it? Well, first of all, you need to send funds to it. You need to set it up. So you can just do it through your MetaMask that you normally would. Let me just put my password in. Okay, got it. Right, so I've actually set up Base on here. So you just go in, you add a network if it's not already there. And if you add the network, I think, fingers crossed, you can actually just type in Base and it'll find it for you. Or maybe not. That's because I've already added it. It was up there earlier, but otherwise you can just go Google the RPC and add it across. Once you've done that, you need to send funds to it. And then effectively, how do you use it? You use it like any other one. You go to likes of Uniswap, instead of using the Ethereum or the Binance Smart Chain network or anything like that, you just select the base network. You find the token or the project that you want to buy, you purchase it, it's stored on your wallet. It's as simple as that, really. Now, why is it better than any others? I don't use it too often, so I'm not too sure. But certainly when Ethereum transaction fees were rather high, this was significantly lower. So people were obviously interested in saving on the gas fees there. There is one thing I do know about this, and I think if you are going to use it, you just need to bear in mind, bridging your Ethereum from Ethereum to Base is no problem whatsoever. You just send it, off it goes, and you'll be there, relatively quickly. However, if you were to bridge it back from Base network to Ethereum, there is a 7-day unlock period. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me who thought that was a good idea, but that is it. The only reason I know about it is I remember people on Twitter kicking off about it back in March. I just did some digging today. It's still there. It's still a thing. So transactions may take a few minutes to confirm and funds should be back within an hour. But please note that withdrawals from Base back to Ethereum may take up to 7 days. And then there's various other websites that sort of confirm that. So that's something to just bear in mind. So I don't know if you can, you want to probably just try and avoid that if you can. So either, try and send it to an exchange and have one that actually has the Base network in which you could send your tokens to, rather than converting them to ETH and then trying to bridge your ETH back. But that's all I really know about it, unfortunately. It's just like anything else, or Polygon, or Avalanche, or Ethereum, etc. So you can just use it that way. Someone else asked about, Chris asked what best wallet to buy and trade on. That's too difficult to add. I've got a Uniswap. You can have the Coinbase wallet if you wanted. Again, I've not used it, excuse me. But in terms of where to trade it, it's just using the DEXs. So the likes of Uniswap. I'm sure there are others as well. Kevin's asked about Coinbase wallet. So I've gone over that because I've never used it for buying memes and other alts not on exchanges. I've just used MetaMask in the past, or if it's on Solana, I use my Phantom wallet. John said, you mentioned Discord, you were staking on Kraken. What are you currently staking? Have you managed to check out the new Kraken wallet yet? I didn't know there was a new Kraken wallet, so no, I've not. I'll have a look at that, but I'm quite happy with sort of the Kraken just being on my phone. In terms of what I'm staking in Kraken, I've just moved 50% of my Polkadot off the Polkadot network and staking via there because it's a 28-day unlock period. So I took the hit early. I've done that now, and I've just moved it over to Kraken where I can unstake it within 10 minutes. I don't get as much returns, so I was getting sort of 15 to 18%, only getting 11 to 12 at the moment. It's only worth 50%. But if I want to do something, work with the market, etc., now I'm in a position to do that. Before then, I'd have to wait a month. And when we get into 2025, I will make that move again with the remaining 50% to move it over. So I've got a much quicker route. I think at the moment, Polkadot's the only one that has a long lockup. Glimmer's 7 days, which isn't great. Near's 2, I think. I'll have to check that one. But that's it. That's the only reason. But I hope that helps. Last one, and then we can get into some charting and stuff like that. Andrew has put, since we're also heavily in Tau, following this validator hack, has anyone thought about splitting their holdings between different wallets? Or is the Nova wallet secure enough? Both myself and Simon actually addressed this in Discord earlier on today. If you've not seen it, Andrew, don't worry. So the validator himself was hacked. You as a staker or a nominator, your tokens are completely safe. You don't actually send your tokens to the validator and he holds them in his own wallet. You're just providing your strength, your power with that, which is why it's so easy for you to unstake, so quick for you to unstake. So they're always remaining in your wallet as such. They're just, until you remove them from the validators pool, you can't really do anything with them. But that's just a few clicks of the button. In terms of the Nova wallet, I've got mine in one wallet. Two wallets. Apologies. But it's in Nova. So that's just where I've kept mine. You feel free to split it across multiple wallets. The more wallets you have, obviously, the more secure you are. But you just got to remember all your passcodes. And as I'm getting older and older, it's not so easy without me writing them down. So I haven't personally done it. Anyway, thanks for those questions. I know I rattled through those as quick as I could, but I just wanted to try and jump into this. I know I've got the charting to do as well, so don't worry, I will come back to those. Just tackling a couple of Bijans that he's put in. Do you think altcoin market is potentially too competitive now with so many projects now, and with layer 2s coming to BTC? There's so much competition on Sol, ETH, BTC layer 2s, Near, Dot, AVAX, etc. I learned a stat today that knocked me off my chair. I was stood up, but had I been in a chair, it would have knocked me off. On the Solana network, 450,000 tokens were created last month alone. 450,000. Now they're all meme coins, and 449,999 have probably rugged already, but that is how many there were. So, of course, there is a massive level of competition. I mean, you just go on to CoinMarketCap, cryptos 2.4 million plus. I remember last cycle it was 22,000. The cycle before that, it was under 1,000. So obviously that space is growing. It makes the competition harder. Obviously, there's opportunities to swing from the fences with some of the dirt down and dirty ones. But, the ones that I would say first 5, 6, 7, 8 pages on CoinMarketCap, and back in the day, trust me, 2017, we were only interested in the top 50, maybe top 100. But, those ones that have been around for a cycle or have been able to establish themselves via market cap within, say, the top 7 or 800, say under 1,000, I think there's still plenty of room for them to grow, but at least they've got something, some sort of substance underneath them. But you are right, there's loads of competition there. And at the moment, we're just recycling the same users. There's no real injection in the alt markets from new retail. Maybe a little, but not too much. In terms of the layer ones, everything's a layer one these days. And so you really do need something to stand out. Now, layer ones are always going to be successful. And I think the ones that are already established have generally got a better chance. But you look at Solana, take Solana for example. I mean, Solana, let's face it, as much as we thought it was going to die with FTX, it has ripped. It's gone from $8 down here, all the way up to 204 or 209 even, which is incredible. It's already done. I'm trying to do the maths in my head, a 25x roughly, before the bull market's even started. Is it going to do another 25x from here? Unlikely. And that's really, the bigger these things get in market cap, the more money it's going to take to move the price. So I'm not sure that we're going to see another 25x. Matter of fact, maybe we only see another 4x or something from its all-time high. I appreciate it's down at 150 at the moment. But that's still a hell of a move, especially from $8. That would be 100x for something that was in the top 10. So yes, there will be some need and desire for layer ones, and Solana has captured the meme coin, which at the moment is the biggest narrative in crypto, much outstripping AI, outstripping other layer ones. So the fact that so many are launching off those, people are buying Solana to trade with their meme coins, and they're paying the fees of Solana by using Radium and whatever the other dexes are. So there's an actual genuine use case, whether or not it's a needed use case there. So fair play to it. Now, other layer ones, especially ones that are fairly new, they're going to have some big marketing, something really unique to disrupt that. So yes, it's possible, but whether or not it is, we talked about runes. Runes are only 2 months old, and yes, they may be helping the Bitcoin maxis from not clogging up the Bitcoin network with transactions now, but are runes really going to overtake Solana's ability to produce meme coins, etc.? I don't see it personally, but anyway, we'll see. It does make it harder to pick winners, and I think just don't have too many layer ones in your portfolio. For me, I don't have any Ethereum, not really counting Bitcoin. I've just got Near. I don't count Dot as a layer one. I don't know. I've got Glimmer, so okay, we've got two. But Near's my biggest pot at the moment, and it didn't start out that way. It's just that Near's had a good run. Pulling back at the moment, which we'll discuss later. You've then said Bitcoin layer 2s are very small in market cap. I think Stacks is the biggest. I think did Stacks get to 3 billion? Let me have a look. Stacks. I mean, it's 28, so it's pretty high on the chart. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Market cap, yes, 3 billion. I thought it was a bit higher than a billion. But yeah, I completely agree with that. Future Sport Horse Stud, that's Julia. Okay, what do you make of the Apple announcement of them launching, I can't read because there's something in the way, an open AI development? I didn't even know. I knew Apple were having some sort of conference this week, but I've not seen it. So unfortunately, I can't answer that one, but I'll have a look into it and see what they've got to say. I mean, they need something, don't they? If Twitter have done theirs, obviously we've got ChatGPT and all that kind of stuff. If this is what this is linked to, then yeah, they need something that they can integrate with Siri for their iPhones and everything else and go from there. But makes sense that they would take advantage of that. I've realized I should have really talked about this. I can't remember what it's called now. TARS protocol. That someone asked me to, and then we can do the charting. Let's just check who asked me about it. Paul asked. Okay, so I had the briefest of looks at this earlier on today, and I was kind of intrigued at sort of where we're going. So TARS protocol is TAI, so I assumed it was an AI-related protocol, and that is exactly what it is. Now, price action, when you look at it from this, actually, when everything else is done, this has ranged quite nicely over the last 2-3 days. Now, it says here that it's only been live for a month or so, but that could still have caused an opportunity for the price to fall away quite significantly. It's on Gate, it's on Mexi, it's on Bybit. Okay, so some interesting things there. In terms of what are we doing? Where's the website? Okay, we'll just go through it on this one. Supercharged, so Solana's AI infrastructure. So first off the bat, these people have thought, right, well, which is the layer one that's working the best? It's Solana. So they've ticked to that one. At least they're going utilizing what most people want to go to and hopefully trying to get into the momentum based off that. So fair enough. Introducing TARS powered by GPT-4. Learn more. Let's see what it has to say. It's an AI-driven, scalable Web3 modular infrastructure platform. That's a mouthful. Designed to empower projects with cutting-edge AI solutions and one-stop blockchain as a service. TARS aims to bridge the gap between AI and Web3 worlds by providing a unified platform for AI-powered tools and services, enabling organizations and individuals to effortlessly transition from Web 2 to Web 3. I mean, just reading that, it doesn't sound like it's coming up with anything groundbreaking, but that doesn't necessarily matter. AI is going to be a strong narrative. Solana is going to be a good layer one. There is potential for this to actually do well. Now, I sort of went on Bybit here because they do these little, what's the word I'm looking for? Little snippets on projects. So this one came out, say, at the beginning of May. And it was launched on Bybit. So Bybit have done a little narrative on it, which again, I'll post in there for Paul if you're interested. But the key takeaways is that decentralized platforms I've already gone about. Key products offered by TARS includes a curated hub of AI models, a personalized brand promotion space, a solution for token vesting and management, and a fundraising automation tool, and an access management utility. So I don't really think there's too much necessarily, again, groundbreaking within that, but that doesn't mean it can't do well. I think anything with AI in it's always got a chance at the moment, but it is in a tough market, so I don't think it's just a free pass. Now, something about TARS, I always like to have a look at everything here, and this caught my eye because key milestones. I was like, wait a second, I thought this launched in 2024, and I know tokens don't always launch when a project's around, but 2 years is a hell of a long time to wait. So something was starting to think, well, what's going on here? So we can kind of see here, 2022, they had all these milestones, ticked them all off, everything looking good. Get into 2023, and then suddenly the wheels fall off. Q2, Q3 of 2023, nothing really seems to happen. Which I thought, okay, maybe they just aren't updating things. And went through the rest of it, there seemed to be a lot of information here that wasn't updated. So I was a bit confused. with that. Now, when we get to here we go. When we get to the price action, this is the chart at the moment. And since launch, as I say, since the beginning of May, that's actually looking pretty tasty, to be honest with you. I think it's done fairly well. Kind of respected this channel here and, kind of respecting this channel here. Yeah, okay, maybe there's an opportunity for it to get down to sub 20 cents and looking there. But actually, that looks fairly healthy, especially from a new launch. Okay, we had the big wick up, come back down. But it's something here. Made me think I would certainly have a look into this a little bit further. But that nagging thing of what is this 2022 about? And actually, when I open up the next chart, something interesting happened. This is not a chart that you see every day. I'll put it on the weekly. I'll zoom back. Why do I say you don't see it every day? Well, so we had this. It launched in 2020. Okay, so the token actually did launch in 2020. It didn't do particularly well during 2021 when everything else was running, but hey, it was a fair launch. It launched in the bull market, the beginning of the bull market, a little bit of peaks and troughs, but died away. But then this is what's interesting: is in 2023. Look at this. I'm zooming in so you can see it a bit better. We go 2023, April, May, into June, July the 3rd, 2023, and then the next one is the 29th of April 2024. This thing stopped trading for over a year. Well, almost a year, 9 months. I don't know what happened because I've not had time to look into it. So that actual healthy kind of chart there's something here. And I need to find out because look, I'd be interested in any AI project, but I want to know about the tokenomics here beforehand. What actually happened? Do these people still own these tokens? Was there sort of a swap and a dilution or whatever? How is this going about? And am I going to just see people dumping on me unnecessarily? So I kind of need to understand where those tokenomics are, and I'd like to know what they did. Now, the little bit I could find on Reddit and a few other things was effectively, instead of being TAR's protocol, they wanted to rebrand themselves to basically TAR's AI and just be focused on the AI based off the AI narrative. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. Jump with whatever's going to help you launch your project. But I just want to know what happened to the token in that 9 months and where that went. Were people just paid out there? Was it tough? It's going to be a brand new token and everyone's lost out. Do we have some negativity because of that, etc.? So, Paul, all we're saying is thanks for putting it to attention. I'm actually going to leave it on here. I want to look into it in a bit more detail. But right now, unfortunately, I don't know. Okay. I think we've done enough questions for the moment. 40 minutes in. Let's actually start talking about BTC. Is this the end of the road for it? So you've seen these charts from time to time. I didn't get to do it last week because I was on holiday. But this is the June, I updated it today, chart. And everything you can see, you've all seen before if you've been on long enough. Big white line, trend line going back from January 2023. The yellow boxes represent the liquidation levels as identified on HighBlock. So we're still in exactly the same position we've been in since the beginning of March, ranging from 57,000 to the 70,000s, being back down to touch it, back up to the 70,000s. And now we're kind of in that position of where are we going? Which direction are we heading? And let's just, be completely honest. We're almost in the middle of these two liquidation bands. So there's no magnet necessarily driving us in either direction right now. So there's nothing in there to tell us. But what is interesting is at least seeing where they are, because the real shorts or long liquidations, should I say, but there's nothing until 57. So I think it's not safe, but at least it's there's a few things that are in our way before we could potentially get caught out from that one. So there's definitely some potential within that. These short liquidations in and around all-time highs from 73 to 75,000, maybe they could have sort of a bit more of a nervousness, and it's getting stronger. Like I don't have high block open anymore. But obviously, you remember from high block, start off in the green or purple, go into green, and then they go yellow and almost white. It's getting a lot whiter at the moment. There seems to be a lot more shorts over the last couple of days, which, as we're going to get onto a little bit later on, potentially market makers might be messing around with us. But just looking at this chart here, remember we are on the daily, the things that are sticking in my mind right now. Okay, this orange trend line, 21 EMA daily. Okay, so for the last 2-3 weeks, we've been following that, reacting off that, and then today we lost it. Bang, straight down. But what did we get caught on so far? It's the 50 EMA, right around 67,000. I said in the chat today, I think I said 68 is what I was looking at, and then 64. And this was why. And I want to see what happens here with the close. Can the 50 catches, okay, on the daily? Now, we actually wicked down to 66,000, but that has been brought back up quite quickly. I thought there was potentially a bit of strength at 66,000. But this white line, you know, for those of you that haven't seen it, all the red circles are the interactions with it, okay? And this has strength all the way back, okay? Now, it doesn't always hold it. It loses it, but then it fights it, but it interacts off this one. And this is where we're going to, and this is kind of, just remember, this is falling, depending if we drop down to it today, 63,000, and then it's going to go through the 64,000s over the next week. Okay, so that kind of area. So I'm thinking 50 EMA, can that be our saving grace? Now, you know, last time we've hit the 50 EMA, to be honest with you, on the daily, didn't hold it. We lost it, man. We really wanted to retest this line. We did retest this line. And so the 50 EMA right now, if we lose it, I think we're certainly seeing a retest to 64,000. Now, there's a few other things within that, which we're going to have a look. But I think we should do that on a clean chart. My chart's all over the place. It used to be so tidy with these. Where is it? I've lost it. Okay, let's go to this one. So this is a clean Bitcoin chart. Again, on the daily. And, you know, as I alluded to at the beginning, top of the stream, this was the trend line at the top, okay? So it's been a fairly decent strength from us, trend line, in terms of down, up, down, up. And we've been hitting it quite a bit recently. And, you know, said in our group quite a bit, you know, the skimming stones, etc. The more we hit a level and repeatedly hit it, and, you know, it's one thing to, skimming stones is the analogy, isn't it? It's one thing to hit it, you know, you skim your stones, you get bigger things, and then the skims start to get smaller, and plop. And so we've had the big gaps, but actually these interactions are getting closer and closer together. So, and that generally leads to a weakening of that support or resistance level, this time it being a resistance level. And I'm not guaranteeing that the next time we hit it, we go through it, because we might not, but it will get weaker. And if we keep on attacking it, we will eventually get through it. And again, you look back on this one, every time we went below it, look, attack, finally got through. Defend, lost, come through. Then we had the strength to sometimes get through. But it does weaken over time. And I think that is, for me, something to be keeping our eye on there. Now, I drew, I need to get used to not doing that. I drew some of these other ones here. And there was this trend line. Maybe I have to go from the wick. Which maybe kind of should have given us a little bit of a clue. We were getting towards a top of a compression. It is a rising compression, relatively flat top, but not always, right at the apex, and we've lost it at the moment. And so now we're trying to think to ourselves, well, where could this actually be taking us? And you could argue, I mean, I don't think it's taking us down to 38,000. We can redraw this here, if that makes people feel better. Let's just redraw it. I can't pinch it for some reason. There we go. Redraw it there. So it's not as scary. But there's potential for 57,000. We've already talked about that. We've been ranging through this level for some time. You know, we can draw that line there quite nicely. We could, I won't draw too many lines. We could also draw a trend line here. I think it's probably better to do it from here, to be honest. At around about, oh, wait a second. Just under 64,000. Well, that's interesting. So we've got a few trend lines. I'm going to take this one off because it's looking a bit messy. And I'm going to take this top one off because that's also just clouding it. Let's have a look at these two because we're looking at downside action at the moment of where we potentially could go. And there's a couple of patterns that are potentially playing out there. We, of course, I have to draw it. I have to. Apologies. It has to come back on. You saw it earlier, but just so you can see it, just draw it a bit smaller as we can. So we got this. Now, what happens when compression breaks? You know, argue say there's a fairly decent chance we're going to retest the level that it got to. Well, the level it got to is 62,000, 57,000 at worst case. So we've got to keep those two levels in our heads. Maybe we get to there. We've also, though, this is why I wanted to take these off. So let me delete them now. We've also got, on the daily, potential double top there with a neckline right where we are at the moment. Why have I drawn that? Because We do lose it. It's top of the head to the neckline. Where's that take us? 63,000. Okay, 63, 64,000. Levels what we were talking about. So potentially, if we do lose this, and I want to see it on the close, remember we're on the daily chart, maybe that's where it takes us to. Okay, then we have some sort of reaction. That's fine. We actually go up onto the weekly. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a scarier picture. Why is this not deleting? Weekly. And again, you could argue at the moment that there is a potential double top. Potential. One there, one there. Neckline this time, 60k. Then we get our trend line. We go, right, well, from the top. Let's just do it from the body, just in case. 60k. And there. Where's that take us? 52,000. It's quite low, that. That'll be below the 57. Could be scary, but that could be a level that we really need to look at. We take it back to the high block. Oh, wait a second. 50 to 52,000. That's where the max pain would be for all of those longs. There's nothing really below that for a while. So this really would be max pain. And we know sometimes we need a good bloody nose. So there's a few levels there that certainly stick out with a bit of TA that potentially suggest that, yeah, we could be in for some falling. But we've got to ask ourselves, and again, look at it. Look at that run from September. October was the real move, but that's run from September to where we are now. The last 9 months, we have ripped from 25,000, 26,000, up to 73,000, back down to 50,000, and we're at 67. And for some of us, not you, some of us in crypto, that's pretty nerve-wracking. That's pretty scary. We don't want to be here. We think the world is over. But actually, when you take a look at yourself and think, what have we been? Well, excuse me, a bit high pitch there. Where were we this time? So June here. So yeah, we're 26,000. Then the year before that, June here, we were 19,000. So in the last 2 years, the bull market being over, the bear market and the sort of the slow rise out of there, which a lot of you have been in the group for that time, we've been in a much worse position. And yet we've been able to sort of keep our heads and go, you know what? We've got a bull market coming around the corner. Well, we're in that bull market at the moment. Assuming you believe in the 4-year cycle, which I still do, we're in the bull market. We can't expect us never to have a pullback. But when we have a pullback, if we have spare capital on the side, and I asked some votes there about what you're doing with it, because we can get on that bit a little bit later on. Yes, there are opportunities for buying. But if you don't, you just have to accept you bought in. Hopefully you've been buying in for at least the last 12 months. You've got some good positions. Take advantage of it. Not every position is going to be great. I bought some BitTensor at 600, so not the best position. It doesn't necessarily matter. I bought some Fetch at like $2 a couple of days ago, dumped. Bought some Link recently, dumped. Some of them don't matter, but it's about building positions to see me through the next 12 months. So they are times to take advantage of, in my opinion. To answer what the original question of the stream, is it game over? Personally, no, I don't think it's game over. I think for game over, real game over, firstly, we need to lose that 50,000 level. Okay. We could have a wild 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. Selling may go away. That is still a thing. We could have a wild couple of months. Maybe we do get down to 50,000. Yes, it's going to hurt. Yes, we might all be, pulling cushions off the sofa, trying to find some more money to put in. But if you don't, we've just got to ride it out and say, you know what? We get through this. We'll have an October, if that's still a thing. We'll have the Santa Rally, if that's still a thing. We'll go into the next year, full bull, everything back in, and off we go. And, we've still got ETFs. We've got the Ethereum ETF on the way. Who knows what other ETFs may come afterwards. So it doesn't necessarily scream to me that this is, the end of the bull run. Now, I put in that comment in Discord, of course, with the best conviction I have, I don't believe it's the end of the bull run. I'm going to need to see a lot more things happen for that. And I could be proved wrong. Absolutely. Hey, Capo could be right and back down to 12 grand we go. But a lot of things would have to happen there. And the biggest indicator would obviously be, when I find it, our ETFs. Our ETF trackers would be the biggest giveaway, because when we start to see mass outflows from that, then we'll know that perhaps we're going to see some selling in the market. And okay, yesterday we did see a red day, okay, but it was only, I mean, just rolls off the tongue these days, doesn't it? It was only 935 BTC that was sold, round about $65 million. So that's the net inflow, if you will. So not necessarily too bad. And bearing in mind that we had a close to $1 billion inflow last week. It's been green for 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks solid now. I don't know what today is. We'll have to wait and see how that one pans out. And maybe with the harsh selling we've had, that is the case. I've tried to go on Arkham here, and I've had a look at outflows over the last 24 hours. I don't know if it's updated, but we are seeing roughly around about 700 million of outflows. But in terms of inflows over the last 24 hours, we're seeing nearly 900 million. So if that data is correct, and it's much better just to check it at the end of the day rather than halfway through the day, maybe this is actually still going to be a green day. But as long as we've still get these green days, as long as ETFs are still interested, banks are interested, healthcare's are interested, we're seeing it, ETFs being approved all over the world at the moment. This doesn't feel like a bear market. It doesn't feel like this is the end. It's just a pullback. And unfortunately, alts are suffering because you know what? You don't get to enjoy the massive gains that alts provide you at the end of the bull run without having to take the bloody noses repeatedly when there are pullbacks, because they are going to pull back further. And for the likes of those of us in Tau, Casper, Renders had a pretty horrendous pullback, Dots pullback, they just happen. As long as it's nothing to do with the actual performance of the project, then I wouldn't necessarily worry about it too much. I do want to just spend a little bit more time on Bitcoin on the lower time frames, because I also mentioned in the chat about drops. And what I was talking about there is, maybe actually we are seeing some sort of market making move at the moment, particularly around the funny games that we get on FOMC and CPI days. It's the same Uber Day tomorrow with both of them at the same time. But if we were to say that this was the top with an M, drop 1, consolidation period, drop 2, now maybe we have a bit of a consolidation period. And as I was mentioning in the chat, maybe we do see a recovery of some sort as we lead into FOMC. And we're starting to see that already, a fairly decent recovery. I mean, it's up 1,500 in the last hour. Maybe we just start to see that move back up as we start to say it. And then tomorrow, more news comes out. Maybe actually we see this for the rest of the week. We've definitely had a drop 1 and a drop 2. But as this comes along, at some stage, corrects, we see that drop 3. Where are my targets for the drop 3? Well, wait a second. We've got a vector candle here. What's the 50% of the vector candle? Guessed it. Just under 64,000. Why is 64,000 important? Why is 63,000 important? I've not even thrown a fib up yet, but you can be damn sure I'm going to in a minute. We're talking about the major trend line. We're talking about where the head and shoulder, where the double top potentially could take us to. Talking about where there's buy orders, etc. So that level, if we do get to see that drop 3, if this does turn out to be a period of consolidation leading into a drop 3, then that is a level that I would be looking at. That vector candle recovery, seeing whether or not we can reclaim that, runs into the trend line, completes things like the compression falling out of itself, completes the double top, and then we start to build. Maybe that doesn't happen this week. Maybe it has to happen next week. But they'd be the targets that I was looking at. And then, just because I haven't done it yet, let's throw it off. I'll do it on a cleaner chart. Daily. Oops, done it again. Done it again. Just make sure it's not going to mess me about this time. Let's throw a fib on. So what are we looking for? Down here, do you reckon? Not too early? Okay. So body to body. Let's have a look. Is this a decent one? Reacted there, climbs up, hits the 236, up and down on 236, battled that down to the 382, back up again, and then the 236, it's just above 63,000, tying in quite nicely with that. I mean, if we want to be a stickler and go, no, this is the move, we'll do some fibceptions with fibs within fibs, then actually I'll get rid of that because it's confusing. then okay, perfect. Look at this. Actually, this is an even better one. Look at how beautiful that has been in this ranging pattern. You know, look at the levels it's hit. Right to the top, back down, 0.5, back up again, hitting the 382, the 5, back up to 236, 618 perfectly, 382, back to the 5, back up again, now battling the 236, and look at it, 382, 63,668, tying in with the long-term trend line, with the double tops, with the break from the compression. I can't remember all the other things I was talking about there, but it just seems like a nice level for it to go towards. And that's what I'd be looking at. We lose that, and I'll be honest with you, then we got to look at the 618, the retest of the 57,000 or the 58,000 level, back to the bottom of this range. That's it. Then we are just ranging. And I tell you, we get to that and we have a nice bounce off that. You want to be trying to find something to buy because that's been strong. That's what I'll be doing anyway. And then we get to the doomsday scenario. We lose that, and it's still on the cards potentially. Maybe we get down to the 50,000. Now, I was going to talk about elite waves and ABC corrections, but to be honest with you, it's not something that I normally talk about. But someone mentioned it to me that there was a potential of a ABC correction from a wave 4 recently, which absolutely, if you're into that thing, have a look, check it out. You'll probably be able to work out where it is. But that's something to consider in the future. Okay, I think we talked about BTC. Let's have a look at some of the other alts. And I've not forgotten the ones that were in the RT chat. I will cover those at the end if that's okay. I want to touch on Tau first, because that's probably arguably as a group our biggest holding. And I know that a lot of people have been buying this, and things just haven't been looking great for a while. I've been talking about haven't been looking great for a while, and unfortunately that has just continued to play its part. So what have we really been looking at? And I drew this at the beginning, but I just want to draw it on again. Now, forget the Binance move, but you can pretty much draw a fairly decent trend line through all of that. Take Binance out, and these tops have just hit quite nicely. And then from the bottoms, you've kind of got this range here. So I feel without the Binance news, this is the range we've been working in. Okay, I could have drawn that better. Of course I could. We've been working in and around there. We've just worked it nicely. And unfortunately, the 50 EMA in this occasion has not been our friend. Unlike the rest of the market, which has ranged relatively stably, Tau actually since March has just continued to make lower high after lower low, and it has been dropping all the way down. And not all of us, but I've certainly made a few calls on the way down. I'm actually in my fourth sidestep on this one of just using these trend lines. I've not put the fibs on, but that 50 EMA rejection to where it's going. And unfortunately, you look at this now, realistically, that vector candle feels like it needs to be recovered now. It's right on the bottom of this trend line. We're much closer to this trend line after today than we were yesterday. And so that 290 could certainly be a thing. Now, it takes a little bit longer to get there. This is going to fall further and further. Maybe we get to 275. What's interesting with the 275 is it's in line with this noise here. All of that interaction. So certainly you probably can't see it because my face cam's in the way. But certainly that kind of level there. So again, I fortuitously was able to take advantage of that wick down on Friday night because I was out and I had some buy orders down at 340. But then Saturday came, we were talking about it in chat, and we just rejected, again off here. And I didn't get out straight away, but I got out around about 375, 370. I decided to sell again because it just felt like it was the right thing to do. And apart from that 333 buy, I haven't really bought anything since then. I'm just going to wait and see how it's going. Maybe I get a bit greedy and I get caught out. It's not my intention, but I just felt like there was a low risk, high opportunity trade to just increase my bag. I still believe in BitTensor very strongly. I just want to try and take advantage of an opportunity when it presents itself. And if we do see this bounce off here, then great. That's where I'll look to put some more buys in. But I've got the freeway now to, even if I miss 370 after getting a bit up here, then I'll take it. But I'll be looking at how it interacts in and around that sort of top level. And there's 50 EMAs following it down. And then again, when we throw the fib on, when you put these on, it just makes a lot more sense with these decisions. You know, that can't be the right level I used before because normally it looks clean. Maybe it is. Sorry. Maybe that on this screen, I must have drawn it from somewhere else normally because I couldn't have done it from down there, did I? Let's have a look. Don't think I did. Just too long ago. Yeah, not really too much there. I don't know where I drew it from, but that didn't seem to work. Maybe on this occasion the fib wasn't working. I think there's plenty of other stuff to suggest there is movement there. But we've lost the 618, and so, you know, the 786, the bottom of that vector candle, where you probably want to be looking to see if there's anything in there. Now, if you've got some left on the side, then great. If you don't beat yourself up about it. You know, as I mentioned to earlier, I thought I was getting week and a half ago some great opportunities for Link, for Fetch, for AIOS. You know, I bought some more Render as well. That's not panned out the way it's going to be, but I still believe in all of those projects. And so I'll just have to ride that and just, you know, go back to how it was in 2022, 2023 when we were buying and sitting in the red for some time. You know, it just feels a little worse now because we've seen what this can do. But this is just giving us the opportunity, and it's giving the market an opportunity to recharge itself before we move up. And don't underestimate that move. We'll have a look at Total 2 and Total 3 later. But these last 6 months have been pretty impressive. Let's have a look at Casper. So Casper's, again, I think Casper's done well, particularly through the month of May. You look at what Tau did, just to compare. Let's get it on the clean chart. Let's overlay them both, shall we? There's my clean one. There's Tau. Let's add Casper. What do I want? I want new price scale, don't I? There we go. And yeah, okay. Since February, we kind of tracked it, but then look at May. You know, Casper has just gone up, while Tau's continued to go back down. So if any of you were in that that Tau-Cas flip, and we're able to take advantage of this perfectly by selling your Tau and buying your Casper there, you've done well. Maybe there's an opportunity now to flip it back. But anyway, if you've done that, well played to you on it. Let's just go back onto the Casper chart now. But I think Casper has been looking strong. And instead of battling a 50 EMA, it's not really had to come close to it. Yeah, the 10 and the 20, but we expect to lose a 10, a 20 to catch it all the time. It's exactly what it's done. So for those of you that have held through your CAS, or those of you that's wise enough to buy more down at 10 cents and then holding it, you're sitting nice and pretty on where that's going. So yeah, well played there. I don't think anyone's, I mean, Dot's not looking great. Excuse me, I'll be honest, with where we sit. You know, you talk about that skimming stone. We're really hitting this 630, 640 level at the moment. We need to hold that. We're below a lot of EMAs right now. So we need to see some movement back up there. One of the good things with me moving my Dot to Kraken is I can actually now look to take advantage of some of this, which I may look to do, particularly if NEAR continues to fall. So NEAR had a good run in May, but like a lot of AIs, it's kind of fallen over a little bit recently. Maybe there's just a bit of AI fatigue or what have you, but we're starting to see this movement back down. And I'd love to see it, you know, if it got down to where it went in April, but certainly down here at sort of the low fives, I'd probably look at selling some of my stake reward from Dot, and just buying that into NEAR. Doesn't mean I don't love Dot anymore. I just think there's, you know, with the AI back in Dot, NEAR probably has a better potential to move faster than Polkadot does. So that's certainly where I'd be having a look. Let's have a look at Total 3, I think. Total 3 kind of looks like a lot of altcoins, if you ask me. And yes, we've just gone and lost the 50 over the last week or so. We have had some sort of M formation. I've realized it's probably too small for you to see, so let me just zoom in. And we had a nice triple top here, which played out. You could argue it was a head and shoulders. This technically is a little bit higher. Played out quite nicely. That's it. Null and void. Built back up. Maybe a little double top there. Neckline lost on the 50 EMA. Coming back down. Now, where we tipped here could arguably be completion of that fall. So yeah, just one to bear in mind. But if we do start to see further falling in the market, maybe we do get to that $600 billion level. Quite a bit of wicks down here. Plus we got the 200 EMA to potentially prop it up. But that's sort of the next target for me on there. But you can just see how much this has fallen compared to BTC. And if we overlay BTC on it, I thought we don't need to overlay BTC because we can just go to the BTC dominance chart. And you can kind of see that actually, although BTC has fallen, 4 or 5 thousand over the last week, actually, it's rallied pretty hard from 54 all the way up to almost 56%. So that's where it is. We expect that in the early parts of the bull run. I don't want to start something new, but those of you who watched a few of these will see those sort of yearly transitions that I do. I feel like I'm going to have to talk about it now because I mentioned it. I can't remember where they are. But those yearly transitions, and you do the bear market in USDT, then you move into the start of the bull market's BTC. We're in the second year where it's BTC into alts. Doesn't necessarily mean that it happens immediately. And so we do see that BTC just climbing. It's always worth having a bit of BTC in your portfolio for that, and then look to switch when alts start to pick up a bit of steam. So when BTC, for me, I mean, even maybe waiting until it loses the 50% level, we start to see alts. I mean, even that's going to be a hell of a rally for alts. But certainly losing 53. There's a lot of noise around 53. Looking to then shift your BTC into alts that you like and watch that perform as it continues to go down. Right, let's pick up some of these ones that people asked me to run through. So beam. Is this the right beam? There's 2 beams. So I'm not sure which beam it was that you want me to talk about. What do I think with this beam? I mean, this beam is, if you're into beam and you've been buying it, we're at prices it was all the way through 2023. So this is a perfect opportunity to get some beam. Is this the beam as in the related, the gaming beam? I think it is. Let me just, it should have, yeah, it was. Beam X, it's Beam X. I got beam. Okay, right, I did have the wrong one. Sorry, let's get rid of that. Beam X. Okay, so again, let's have a look. So we lost to 50, we consolidated, we're down on this sort of level where we were hanging around the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, 2 cents there. I mean, it's down 50% from its all-time highs. Sorry, down 100% from its all-time highs. 50%, 100%. It's down from 4 to 2, whatever that maths is. It got further falling. Potentially it does. The rest of the way the market's going, it's under all of the EMAs at the moment. And what I'd really want to see for it to sort of rally up is to do some consolidation. We see here, get the 10, the 20 back towards it so that it can start to have those battles with them. But at the moment, it's just dropping away. These starting to fan out, showing some strength within the selling. I'm going to look at the volumes, but that's what I'd be concerned about. Chili's. The Chili's question is, should you sell now, take profits prior to the euros? I actually talked about this on, I think it was Friday. So maybe this is answering that same question. But when we look back on the data against the 2021 Euros or the 2022 World Cup, there was no major pump in and around those tournaments. So I wouldn't worry too much about how Chile may do at the tournaments. It's more just how you feel from your position and where that could potentially go. Now, again, like a lot of altcoins, lost to 50 on the daily, working its way back down. Now it's still within the range there, and it has had an interaction with the 200 previously, and it's having that again today. Maybe we start to see it, but overall, the old market isn't moving around. I don't see it doing any better. What have you got? Friday, the tournament starts. I still think we may see another fall, sort of towards the back end of this week, down towards that 64,000. So, yeah, I'll just hold off on that one. And then Aptos, someone's asked me to have a look at. There's a lot of people that have big thoughts about this one. Maybe it's one that just slipped me by, but I never really check up on it, to be honest. But again, a real rally up through March, and then what a sell-off there. Not even a 50% retracement. And the speed of the sell-off's got us vector candles, even on the daily. We've been below the 50 for some time now. We're continuing to bounce off it, and we're fighting previous price support here. So I kind of feel like this, again, like the rest of the market, this level here, $8, has been repeatedly retested. And then we know the more you retest it, the more likely it is to fall. We go back to October, high to low. It's also on the 618, right on the 618 at the moment. So yes, it has bounced strongly from the 618 in the past. Maybe there's an opportunity for it to do it again, but that is where I would be looking. I think there was another one. Let's have a look. Beam, Chili's, Aptos, I've done TARS as well. Well, maybe that was it. Okay. What else haven't we covered? Ethereum, I suppose. Let's have a look at Ethereum. Just because we can. So, right. We've had the move up. ETFs approved in principle, but not actually ready to go ahead yet. SEC have kind of dragged their feet a little bit, said, this could take months to sort out. There certainly wasn't the urgency like we saw with the Bitcoin one. And things have cooled off, and it just timed it with also just a cooling off within the market. And so unfortunately, there does feel to be like ETH has represented the sharp drops of the alt market pretty strongly as well. But it's still not looking bad, in terms of where we're at, that move up we talked about. Yeah, it's just ranging in and around this area. And okay, the range hasn't been as clearly defined as what we saw with Bitcoin. But there is still some sort of range in and around there. And it's in the top half of that at the moment. There's a decent amount of vector to see. And we're battling with that 50 EMA, much like we are with the Bitcoin. With Bitcoin's 50 EMA, which, bear in mind, most altcoins have already lost their battle with the 50 EMA. But to be fair to Ethereum, be fair to Bitcoin, they're still having their battles with theirs. So there's potential. But in terms of using the fib, top to bottom, today we have lost the 236. And if we close below the 50, maybe we get to that 3,200 level. And worst case scenario and everything else falls through, and we get down to that 64,000 from Bitcoin, then yeah, I can see us getting down to maybe 3,000, maybe even down to 2,800 and 618, back in the bottom of this trend line before it moves back up. And hey, that's fine. It's just unfortunately where we are with this. And as I say, I just don't even bother looking at Delta anymore. My day's a lot easier. And if I do look at Delta, I just look at the BTC portfolio. It seems to be it's helping me get through the days a lot quicker. For me, yeah, there are some potential buys. I still want to get into PIF, still want to get into Entangled. Taonu, you know my thoughts on Taonu. I'm just not sold. Someone showed me yesterday, Zappy and Taonu, your deck screen, you can see the amount of transactions. I'll show you. Here we go. Don't need that. So if we just do like Taonu, 24 hours, it's only had 17 transactions in the last 24 hours. And look, the last one was 2 hours ago, then 7. Zappy, in the last 24 hours, it's had 3 transactions. That's it. In the last 2.5 days, it's had 6, which is kind of worrying. I'm not even trying, that we'll have a look at a popular one. What's Bobo? That seems to be, that's had 2,125, 2 minutes ago, 3 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago. That's what you want to see. So I know they're trading on other platforms, so fair enough. Maybe the people have moved away and onto Mexi, but meme coins need to have life breathed into them. People ask me why I'm not into it. I feel like I answer it every week, but that's why. Rose, I'm an idiot. I sold Rose because I wanted to move into something else at 9 cents. And it's pretty much one of the only altcoins that's actually done well, but just shows that, hey, we sometimes get them all wrong. And yeah, should have held on. It's actually forming, look, nice potential halo there as well on that daily. So, I'm kicking myself. There's probably been some news announcement, upgrade to the website, something mundane like that, which I didn't notice was coming, and I sold. Worse still, I sold it to buy extra render, extra fetch, extra AIOZ. So all of which are down since I bought. So it's been a double whammy there. But we win some, we lose some. And then the Dixie, and as has been talked about, we had that hell of a move on Friday, and then today and yesterday, nothing's retraced around that at the moment. So until we see some reversal on the Dixie, and maybe the news tomorrow does that. Maybe interest comes down. Maybe Powell, although we don't believe rates are going to come down, maybe he starts talking positively about when the rates are going to come down. because the market doesn't like uncertainty. And if he starts giving some form of idea of when we might see that first rate drop, maybe it's September, maybe it's not. But at least we start to understand it. Maybe we start to see some positive move there. And maybe we see a reaction on the Dixie from that. Bijan's put, Algon was a FIFA 22 World Cup sponsor and did nothing. Yeah, exactly. It's great that they're doing it. I get it. But right now, I don't see people talking about Chili's particularly. The fact that the Euros is 3 days away. I don't see Twitter covered in Chili's conversation or anything like that. So, it'll be what it will be. Has anyone got anything else for me? I think if not, we'll just wrap it up there. I didn't want your sympathies, but I got a bit of a chest infection at the moment. So I've battled on without it, but we're getting close enough. I'll just go to full screen until give people a chance to have a look. But let's just close the poll whilst we're doing that. So thanks everyone for taking part. 78% of you are hodling, 21 are buying, no one's selling. So good on you there. I've sold a little bit with the intention of buying, so it's not a panic sell as such. But yeah, I think most of us in this group are seasoned vets now. We really are. We've had our licks. We can take a pullback like this. As tough as it's going to be on our portfolio, it just is what it is. Yep, I've hodled the majority. The only thing that I've sold has been the Tau, and I've started buying back into that already. The rest of the Tau that I never sold is just remained staked, so that's just getting its rewards as it does. But yeah, okay. Well, I suppose thanks everyone for tuning in. Apologies I wasn't here last week, but I was on holiday. We'll go back to the weekly things. For those of you that have seen it, obviously the exit strategy tracker thingamajig has had an update. I put a written description about the update. There is no updated video, just some of the formulas have changed, the formatting, etc. If you've got any questions on that or any questions at all, anything I've spoken about or things that you're interested in, feel free to DM me, message me, tag me, whatever, Avengers chat, put some chat in there. I'll get back to you as quick as I can on that. But other than that, all it's left to say is Trading Pub on Thursday at 1 p.m. FOMC and CPI. Just be careful whatever you do tomorrow. It's going to move, guaranteed, probably move twice in both directions, and then just resume whatever it was doing beforehand. And yeah, if I don't speak to you before, enjoy the rest of your evening, and I shall see you all next week. Thanks again, and cheers now.